Clement Manyatela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's get into our series now about SETAs. That's the Sector Education and Training Authorities. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks now, looking at these statutory bodies that were established under the Skills Development Act and are meant to facilitate skills development with specific economic sectors. But are they playing the role they should be playing to support government with skills development and job creation? That's the question we've been asking all the CEOs we've hosted over the last couple of weeks. Are they adequately addressing our national skills deficit to meet the needs of the economy? So in essence, what we're trying to figure out through this feature is what's working and what's not working with our SETAs. Today, we're focusing on BANKSETA, the Banking Sector Education and Training Authority. Maybe you've interacted with them before. Maybe you've got questions about how you can maybe benefit from some of the skills development programs. Maybe as a company, you want to partner with BANKSETA. You can give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. The CEO of BANKSETA is Eubert Mashabane, joining us now via Zoom. Thank you so much for making time for us, Eubert. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners too.
Let's start maybe with the mandate you have as BANKSETA. So you're operating in the banking sector. Are you limited to the banking sector? And what exactly is your mandate as BANKSETA?
Yes, we are limited to the banking sector, but we also then include what we call the alternative banking sector, which is what are called microfinance lending institutions. And there are several of them, but most of those are also regulated.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, so and it's got to be those that are regulated, because you know about some of the micro, lending institutions, or should I even say individuals, some people who do it through mashonisas. So yeah. What's your limitation with the micro lending? Is it specifically those that are registered, correct?
Yes, those that are regulated are the ones that we deal with.
Okay. How do you facilitate connections among TVET colleges and the learners, the training providers, and the employer? So who are your stakeholders? How are you working with other institutions to ensure that mandate of skills development and training and facilitating these programs that potentially even lead to employment?
So each year we do have a process of inviting stakeholders to participate in our grants. And these are various grants, short skills programs, learnerships, internships. So for TVET colleges, for example, we have a program called Work Integrated Learning, where we provide them with grants where they are now able to place their students in workplaces, so that after a period of 18 months or so, they can then qualify to be awarded a diploma. And then we also then work with our partner companies. They also receive some of the graduates from universities, mostly your BCom, your data science type graduates, who then find themselves also in the banking sector, starting a career. Thank you.
Yeah. So what skills gap exists in the banking sector from your observation as BANKSETA? What skills are you? Because sometimes, when we think about the banking sector, people think, I can be a banker. There are specific careers that people think of, but there's a whole value chain and different options that exist in that particular sector. Have you identified maybe a skills gap that exists in this sector that you're trying to help really propel and have those skills advanced?
Yeah, it's not even an observation. It's something that's based on fact, because each year we invite our banking stakeholders to submit what are called workplace skills plans. So in those workplace skills plans, they practically are saying to us, these are the types of training that we will want to undertake in the following year. And these are also the areas where we find it hard to fill vacancies. In other words, we are looking for people in these areas and we can't find them. So out of that information, we can then end up with a list of what are called hard to fill vacancies. And we then provide the funding so that companies can then recruit such learners. But we also then use that to send signals to our universities to say, if you are using a BANKSETA bursary, we recommend that you enroll learners in these fields because that's where our employers are saying they would want these base qualifications in order to continue creating a pipeline of the skills that they require. So your data scientists, your ICT systems analysts are some of the skills that our sector says they find it hard to fill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How transformed is this banking sector, and how does your SETA then support its transformation?
Yes, there are still some challenges with transformation. I'm sure when you read some of the media articles, banks are always in some conflict with the Department of Employment and Labor around transformation, especially at senior level. So what we do is also to offer management and leadership development programs, which we normally target at your middle management in the banking sector. That we hope that over time, those middle managers will help transform the equity profile, especially at your top executive level. Thank you.
Okay. It's 19 minutes now before 11 o'clock. After the break, I'll give you an opportunity to ask Eubert Mashabane, who is the CEO of the Banking Sector Education and Training Authority, a question if you have any. Maybe you've got inputs. I see some of you are sending messages because you are beneficiaries of some of these programs that BANKSETA facilitates together with, TVET colleges. So I'll read some of those messages, but the number to call if you've got a question or an input, an observation, 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyatela.
This is 702.
15 minutes before 11 o'clock, we are doing our series this half hour on SETAs. That's the Sector Education and Training Authorities. We focused on various SETAs over the last couple of weeks. About 6 CEOs of SETAs have joined us so far on this series every Monday at 10:30. And today we're joined by Eubert Mashabane, who's the CEO of the Banking Sector Education and Training Authority. I've got some inputs from you coming through, some questions as well. Eubert, I've got someone on the message line who says, "Hi Clement, I'm the product of BANKSETA and a graduate. Almost 20 years back, I started as a junior in one of the leading financial institutions, and when I left, I was in management in less than 5 years. So thumbs up to BANKSETA." That's a message there from New Vic, who is just showing appreciation for your SETA, Eubert. And then another person on the WhatsApp line says, "Good morning, Clement. Happy to hear that you're interviewing the CEO of BANKSETA. I've had the pleasure of presenting modules to various cohorts at Gibbs and Vets Business School. The programs are enriching and developmental, and we held our graduation ceremony at Gibbs on Wednesday, the 19th of February, where 30 bankers made their proposal presentations and graduated. A truly magnificent program, absolutely essential to develop more bankers. It's accelerating transformation in the banking sector. Best wishes." That's Len Corner, who is with the University Faculty on BANKSETA programs. Maybe you can talk to us more about that, Eubert, this program that Len is talking about.
Yes, it's one of our leadership development programs. It's called the International Executive Development Program. So with the agreement with our major banks and other financial institutions, we recruit up to 40 individuals, mostly at middle management, and we put them through a rigorous course that includes a number of immersions. I think in the last programs, we had immersions in the Netherlands as well as in Kenya. So we select 2 different countries, so to speak, one developing and one developed. And from that program, then your middle managers then are then being slowly being groomed into a pipeline of management leaders, and hopefully in future they could then become executives in their institutions. Thank you.
Yeah. Another question is from, in fact, a question from Tsepi, who says, who do you collect the levies from? Is there participation across all the provinces?
Yes. So we collect our levies primarily from the banks and the other financial institutions. So in our case, there's about 29 banks registered with the South African Reserve Bank and Prudential Authority, etc., who contribute about 90% of the levies that we use as a BANKSETA. So roughly around 800, 900 million is contributed primarily by 29 odd institutions. So your big banks, the top 5, Capitec, FNB, Standard Bank, Nedbank, ABSA, and then your other retail banks, your Discovery, your
Yeah.
Itala also is included.
Oh, Itala as well. Okay. And then Alex, Tapelo from Alexander says, hey, Clement, I work for an American bank. I did a course with BANKSETA, then transitioned to a local bank and then went on to the bank that I currently am in the employ of as a credit card consultant. Thanks for the opportunity that BANKSETA has given us. So it's great to hear all this feedback and testimonials, Eubert, from people who've benefited. What about people that are listening and thinking, I'm interested in being in the sector and I wanna be able to benefit from some of these skills development programs, these training programs? How do they find the opportunities?
Yeah. So depending on which opportunity, but mostly the funds are given mostly to our stakeholders, as in the bank. So on a yearly basis, they would then indicate they have a need to roll out things like learnerships, for example. And they would then be applying for the funding from us, and then they will recruit the youngsters and then place them in that. But we also have our own programs, as in our own national internship program that we will be rolling out quite soon. I think we just completed a last round that lasted about 2 years or so. So those opportunities, people can write to us. We can then refer them to the partner institutions who implement the programs on our behalf. We don't necessarily give a young person funds in their hands and say, go and get this opportunity. You have to then be linked to a system either of employers or public TVET colleges, universities, etc. Thank you.
Another question here from Anonymous, who says, what is BANKSETA doing for rural village learners? I don't see them exhibiting their programs in the rural areas. Yes, Eubert? How visible are you in rural areas?
We are visible, and I think people need to find themselves in the correct spaces, fora, and events where we invite all stakeholders in the country. For example, whenever there are all these presidential imbizios, career fairs and that, we would be part of the general masses of exhibitors and all of that are present in there. So people who want to find us should also be on the lookout of government-sponsored events, because we are actually compelled to go in and exhibit and show what we can do for learners. So it's not a shortage of those things in the rural areas, but it's rather the connections.
But you do go to the rural areas to exhibit there. You're not only focusing on the urban areas.
No, part of our mandate is also to make sure that we run career fairs. So, for example, on an annual basis, our plan is to run up to 5 career fairs in rural areas. And we select those municipalities according to what the demarcation board classifies a municipality as a rural. We don't just go to a town. We go to a rural village where we then run those career fairs.
Okay. And then there's a question about doctoral and postdoctoral research studies. Is that something you fund as BANKSETA as well?
Yes, we do fund doctoral and postdoctoral studies. It's usually a partnership between the person who is studying, the university, and in some cases the employer under whom they study. But those are also advertised annually for people to apply. We do, however, want those studies to be slanted towards the financial and banking sector. We don't just accept everything, if one were to put it that way.
Oh, okay. And then I've got another question. So the financial services industry is experiencing technological disruptions that have rendered many positions obsolete. So in what ways are you, as BANKSETA, reskilling and upskilling and cross-skilling talent in the financial services sector so that you prepare them for the fourth industrial revolution?
We do provide a facility. It's called a reskilling funding window. And the beauty about it is that it is open all year round. So unlike the other windows that have opening and closing dates. So we give then employers the opportunity to identify among their employees those that might be at risk of being retrenched, and to then say we would then put them through an upskilling program that would allow us to avoid those retrenchments. So we do provide the funding for that, and employers then select the kinds of programs that these employees would need to attend.
Okay. And then Mampele on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, please can you ask the CEO there that I've done the financial management course, N6 level, and I'm a graduate. Does he think that having done that course, is that part of the scarce skills, or that's one of the courses and skills that are already existing within the sector? And I'm not sure, Eubert, if you are aware or you know about the financial management course, the N6. And when you look at that, is that where people must also focus on, get skills in, or not?
Yeah, it is one of the base qualifications that banks can use to put you through a career path, because there are a number of occupations in the banking sector. You don't have what one would call a finance manager and all of that. But I think for this particular case, your N6 is not necessarily at this stage a qualification. You still need to do about 18 months of workplace-based training, whereupon you would then be issued with a diploma, which is the actual qualification. So I think what this listener needs to do is to just check with their TVET colleges for opportunities. They are always there. Every year we provide the funding so that they can then go and do this 18 months period in the workplace and then get issued a diploma. that is a better qualification than just the N6.
And
Thank you.
lastly, there's a question as well about someone. Okay, let me read it from here. It says, do they offer internships to unemployed graduates? I have an honors in logistics and I graduated with project management. Do I qualify for any of their programs that BANKSETA facilitates?
Yes, let me say your logistics and that would normally fall into the other SETA, which is the transport SETA. But what we have done with our national internship program was to say, while we are focusing primarily on skills or graduates who are going to join our banking and finance sector, we had also opened to other graduates who find it hard to land in the workplace. So it is a case of find yourself in the right connection. So I would suggest they also contact the transport SETA and just check if there may be opportunities for internships. But as I said, we also have a possibility that we would be rolling out a national internship in the next few months.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Eubert Mashabane, thank you so much for making time for us. He's the CEO of the Banking Sector Education and Training Authority. It's 2 minutes before 11.